Hey friends, Ann here and welcome back to worship. I'm so glad that you've chosen to join us for worship today. We are in a series called The Disciples' Journey, and it's all about how we grow on our spiritual path as we are becoming more like Jesus. And so today we are going to explore the fact that by spending time in nature, we can actually learn about God and we can grow in our faith just by paying attention to what nature is teaching us. We're going to see today that nature can be a daily classroom for worship for us. And so today we're going to start with a reading from Job chapter 37. Take a listen.
At this, my heart pounds and leaps from its place. Listen to the roar of his voice, to the rumbling that comes from his mouth. He unleashes his lightning beneath the whole heaven and sends it to the ends of the earth. After that comes the sound of his roar. He thunders with his majestic voice. When his voice resounds, he holds nothing back. God's voice thunders in marvelous ways. He does great things beyond our understanding. He says to the snow, "Fall on the earth," and to the rain shower, "Be a mighty downpour," so that everyone he has made may know his work. He stops all people from their labor. The animals take cover. They remain in their dens. The tempest comes out from its chamber, the cold from the driving winds. The breath of God produces ice, and the broad waters become frozen. He loads the clouds with moisture. He scatters his lightning through them. At his direction, they swirl around over the face of the whole earth to do whatever he commands them. He brings the clouds to punish people or to water his earth and show his love. Listen to this, Job. Stop and consider God's wonders. Do you know how the clouds hang poised, those wonders of him who has perfect knowledge? You who swelter in your clothes, when the land lies hushed under the south wind, can you join him in spreading out the skies, hard as a mirror of cast bronze? Tell us what we should say to him. We cannot draw up our case because of our darkness. Should he be told that I want to speak? Would anyone ask to be swallowed up? Now no one can look at the sun, bright as it is in the skies. After the wind has swept them clean, out of the north he comes in golden splendor. God comes in awesome majesty. The Almighty is beyond our reach and exalted in power. In his justice and his great righteousness he does not oppress. Therefore people revere him, for does he not have regard for all the wise in heart?
So friends, this chapter is from the book of Job, and Job was in a big mess in his life. Everything that he had collapsed around him, his family and his possessions and his livestock, everything had just crumbled. And his friends were sitting with him, trying to give him some advice. And Elihu gives him the advice that he needs to focus on God and pay attention to who God is. And he uses these images from nature in order to help communicate this to Job. I want to touch on 4 things that we can learn about God through nature that Elihu points out and draws our attention to in this chapter. If we look at Job chapter 37 verses 2 through 5, it says this: Listen to the roar of his voice, to the rumbling that comes from his mouth. He unleashes his lightning beneath the whole heaven and sends it to the ends of the earth. After that comes the sound of his roar. He thunders with his majestic voice. When his voice resounds, he holds nothing back. God's voice thunders in marvelous ways. He does great things beyond our understanding. Friends, one of the things that we can learn from nature is to revere and respect God. When we think about the lightning and the thunder, when we think about the vast display of his power in this way, and what Elihu calls his voice, we are just drawn to wonder and awe about how awesome he is, how powerful he is, how mighty he is. And it just leaves us in this sense where all we can do is revere him and worship him. The first thing that we learn from nature is a reverence of God. The second thing that it points out is in verses 7 and 8, and it says this: so that everyone he has made may know his work. He stops all people from their labor. The animals take cover. They remain in their dens. Friends, God is omniscient. He knows all. He is working in all. He is over all. He is through all. There is not a place, there is not a thing that happens that God is not present, that he is not in control of. And here Elihu talks about and marvels at the fact that God stops people from their labor and he is able to know where every single animal is in its den. Friends, nature teaches us about God's omniscience, his ever-presence. He is all-powerful. He is almighty. And he is everywhere with us. He knows everything that is happening. And the next thing that Elihu points out, verse 13 of that same chapter, is he brings the clouds to punish people or to water his earth and show his love. Friends, we learn about God's justice and his fairness. We learn that we can trust him, that he provides some of these clouds to punish people, and then other times he uses those same clouds to send the rain in order to bless people. No matter where we are in our lives, whether we're on the punishment side and God is trying to draw us back, or we're on the blessing side and we're just enjoying a light rain and a sprinkle of his goodness, we know through nature that God is just. He is faithful. He is trustworthy. And we can remember that and rely on that. The last thing that I want to point out is this beautiful verse in verse 14, and it says this: "Listen to this, Job. Stop and consider God's wonders." Friends, the last thing that I think nature does for me, and I hope that it does for you, is it causes us to stop and consider who God really is. It allows us to bring our questions. It allows us to bring our the things that confuse us. It allows us to bring the things that amaze us, and just simply be present with him in this place. So friends, are you using nature as a way to grow spiritually? Because it is all around us. Or do you simply tend to ignore it, like I do so many times? The place that I am here right now is a park that is very meaningful to me. It's a place that I like to come from time to time, to be alone, to reflect, to meditate. It's a place that we have had as a family when our kids were growing up, that we would come, we would enjoy God's nature, we would be present together and present with God. Friends, where is that place for you that can be a classroom for daily worship? Enjoy this next worship song as we worship together and remember how good God is through all he has given us in nature.
Vast as the ocean, loving kindness as the flood. When the Prince of Life, our ransom, shed for us his precious blood. And who is love will not remember? Who can cease to bring his praise? He can never be forgotten throughout end's eternal days. Here is love, vast as the ocean. Here is love, vast as the ocean.